Optimus Foresight is a future research company. And Jan Berger, which is the CEO, who is the CEO, allowed me to talk to you. So, since I was on the agenda and not himself. So, I've heard a lot about innovation, digitization. I've heard a lot about technology. I've heard a lot about a summary of yesterday, because I only arrived at 6 p.m. really late, but thanks for the summary. I would like to touch upon once in a while on the automotive industry. Actually, do we have someone from, well, Tesla in here, or Mercedes or Porsche? No one? Maybe also Toyota counts. Okay, no. So, well, then happy for me, because maybe you will be the expert in automotive, but let's talk about that. What I would like to touch upon also is, how do we communicate in terms of with machines, between people, or people and machines. So let me start with this agenda. I would like to ask if the term new work is kind of a myth, or do we have to face reality? What is new work? Secondly, I would like to talk about activities, not jobs, activities who may change or disappear or erase anew. I got a hint from Julius, from you yesterday. There is a kind of an internet platform, I checked that in the evening, from the Bundesagentur für Arbeit. So it's the state agency for employment in Germany. And there is kind of a job future automat or something like that, right? So you don't give in your profession, you give in your activity, or let's say you give in your profession as a young person, and then they split it up into activities, and then they give you a hint if this activity will be digitized or autonomous or whatever. So that's really a nice hint. Thanks for that. I didn't know that. And the third one is, well, the answer, so what will future ways of working look like? Coming back to new work. Well, you may or you may not remember Fridtjof Bergmann. He died away only 3 months ago. So in May 24th, I'm not sure about that, but in May he died at the age of 91. And his study is from the 70s and 80s. Of the 20th century. So this was kind of an answer within the automotive industry. And he checked the automation processes in the automotive industry in the US. And what he saw was that people had to submit to technology. So there was a delivery line, there was a kind of assembly line, and the people had to fit into that process. And he flipped that concept totally. He said, well, technology has to serve us. It should not be the other way around. And he phrased the term new work. And maybe 50 years later, many people in the room maybe also, would summarize what happens nowadays in our work area. That is new work. So new work bases on, after Bergmann's theory, on independence, freedom, anticipation, my free will. He also said, what you should do what you really, really want. So if you talk to younger people when they come in your company, they will phrase and will raise their ideas to have, I will be part of the story, I will be part of your ideas, I will have a sense and something like that. So it's kind of a good summary, but if you have a closer look on his ideology, you will see that his system is based on renunciation, Verzicht in Deutsch, of smart consumption and high-tech self-providing. That means you should renounce, you should stop doing something. And what I really see is that, well, this is kind of a theory, But humanity's problems, for example, climate change, can't be solved by just doing nothing or by just stop doing something. So what you have to consider is that you need globally scalable, in terms of this example, globally scalable climate positive industrial technologies. So what we can see at this example is systems may coexist, but the working methods couldn't be deliberately transferable. So let's go further. We need new concepts of new work. Fritjof is not the last chapter. Okay, where is my... I lost my power. Who's able to help and to switch to the next slide, please? Okay, thanks. So what we already heard yesterday is that technology is changing our ways of working. And anyone entering the workforce in the 80s started maybe with a job description as a typist or someone who's helping a secretary, or you may remember answering machine. Maybe if you started a little bit later, it was like my personal experience. I was just humble. I didn't know what to study when I started my job. And since I was a teacher at the very first beginning, there's no connection to that. So I switched into the insurance company, into insurance industry, and then into the technology sector. So there is kind of diversity within one life. And you will see that also technologies help to change your personal life, or help or trigger you to change your personal life. So a telex machine or a typewriter is now included in our daily life as a word processing program. And in future times, what Tim has found is that we will speak to our devices by default, so no typing anymore. I wonder how that works when we're in this room, right? So you can't to your device, you can't speak to your device when you might listen to someone else, but well, maybe our competencies are growing also in this regard. So looking forward into the 2030s or maybe later, you will also see some new technologies on the horizon which really will change our way of dealing with reality, working, living. First of all, I would remind you on the standard voice input, then secondly on autonomous driving. That's a whole universe. Imagine if we don't drive on ourselves. So I'll come back to that later. Well, machines communicate in these times, that's the prognosis, with each other more than humans do. So not only to say quantum computing, but before that, we will have the internet permeated in every single process, every single device, IoT in our world. And coupled with powerful algorithms, you will see that not only devices, but also the intelligence behind the devices will shape a new way of dealing with technology and with our devices. So if you think of blockchain technology, there is one really important thought about behind that. It's kind of a democratic thought. So it's not about the technology alone, but you might know the book Life After Google. If not, you should read it, George Gilder. He says blockchain technology is the technology which is independent from all the aggregators, from Google, from Alphabet, from Apple, they all will die, because the blockchain technology helps to be independent from monopolies. So that's the really interesting thought, next to the technology, which is interesting. Okay, and last but not least, quantum computing. Well, coming to that maybe later on in the afternoon. Switching back to Taylor. Why I'm doing that? Well, Taylor from 1911 wrote a book about the future of work. 100 years ago, and he said that people should submit to technology. I also already came to that. And well, nowadays he's the epitome of inhumanity. So we are superior. We define what we are doing with technology. But if you have a look at Taylorism 2.0, there is a sense behind it, because any device you have, any login in your computer will definitely provide someone else with data about you. So be aware that we have some kind of submitting to technology still in our days. Yeah, so how does new work in a network information age look like? Activities disappear, second chapter. Driving on our own will disappear. Several estimations say that we have up to 6,000, between 6,000 and 8,000 hours in Germany alone behind a wheel. So imagine what you could do with this time. Imagine what a whole country can do, what that means for the productivity for the country, but also for companies. So autonomous driving could be a nice deep dive into our roundtable maybe later on, but it's your choice. Activities change. Well, it depends on the study you take. Between 2 millions and, or several millions and 2 billion jobs should vanish according to, well, the study you do take. And McKinsey is working on that. The Oxford University is working on that. You can find that on the internet. And also high specialized workers and high, well-educated people like actuaries are on that list. So how does the activity change from an actuary? If you don't know the term, it's a mathematician in an insurance company. Well, while a machine helps to process large data, while an algorithm helps to find patterns in huge statistical data sets, the actuary is not able to do that, right? So our brain is not made for finding patterns in huge data sets. But what he is doing, or she is doing, is to replace the machines, well, to see another, to add another consciousness, and to add a risk identifying profile, and to make decisions. What is the risk appetite of an insurance industry, of an insurance company? So the consciousness and the drive comes from the specialist. So while he's not able to process large data sets, he or she will be able to make complex decisions. We are way better in making complex decisions than machines. Last but not least, activities emerge in you. So which kind of activity will come up? Maybe there will be an AI ethicist. What is that? Well, do we have banks in our group here? A bank or an insurance company? Well, insurance. Bank? Cool. Finance, good enough. Okay, so think about a marketing team where the CEO says, well, I would like to use our algorithm in the credit business, so find new customers. And what you're doing is, sorry to say, but what you're doing is to give your machine, your algorithm, the data from the last 50 years. So what will happen? You will continue giving credit, giving loans, giving lending money to men. Because in the last 50 years, there were no processes, there were no data where women get any money from your bank. So what the algorithm does is to just continue the history of the last 50 years. So what is fair? Is that fair? Do you miss a whole 50% of your target group? So what you need is someone who is called AI ethicist or whatever you want to call him, or her or she. Someone has to figure out, what is the data set like? Would I like to continue this story? What is fair? How to translate fairness into a language a developer understands? How to translate fair into an algorithm language? So someone, maybe exactly your marketing and sales department has to think about that. So this is kind of a scenario you should focus on when you're talking about just using algorithms. Someone has to ferret out false data. Someone has to ask the question, is that the way we want to go? Someone has to correct the data sample, for example. I could talk more about that, but actually, let's go forward. So, I was talking about myself when I started my job. Maybe it's the same with you. First of all, I was really keen on having a diploma, and my doctorate was very important for me, and I was proud of it. It was hard work, but what does it mean to have a cum laude or another formal qualification nowadays? You don't need it, actually. What you need is to come back to competencies, and you have learning on your fingertips. We're all on LinkedIn. You have seen LinkedIn learning opportunities. We have learned a lot about getting new ideas for new technologies and how to work with new technologies and how to learn new programs and how to use them. So a degree is no longer really important. What really counts is, in a constantly changing world, that you adapt also with your skills and your competencies. And, well, one activity for working life, that's all gone, right? So we have different activities, different hats, different functions. And I personally love that. So it's really kind of boring to make only just one job. And what is also very important is the last point. In earlier times, when you saw a degree on a diploma, you could have an idea how this person was able to solve known, unknown problems. So a teacher gave you a problem and you solved it, and that was a 1+ or 50 points or whatever, or A. So that was already known that this person will have to solve again and again and again an unknown problem. In future times, we will have to change our view on people and their ability to solve unknown problems. So there is a new task. There is a new problem upcoming. And you will have to measure up with this kind of ability. Your company has to take into consideration, are you having people who have the creativity and the solving ability for the unknown problems? So it's no longer reproducing, hopefully. Since I'm a teacher, I know what I'm talking about. So it's not about reproducing knowledge. It's about training our brain in order to be prepared for all the unknown problems we're facing. So, what will future ways of working look like, and which principles replace Taylorism or Taylorism 2.0? Let's talk about Elon Musk for a second. Actually, this morning I'm not sure if you have seen the Handelsblatt article. There is, it's not Elon Musk, but I'm coming back to him later. What is the name? Waymo, Google's sister, started in San Francisco. And if you ever have been in San Francisco, you know what we're talking about. To start in San Francisco, autonomous driving. So just this morning. And imagine, well, there is a driver, a support driver, because in rural areas it's easy to drive autonomous, but in urban areas it's much more complicated. So they put in a trusted a driver who is skilled in driving, and they choose kind of trusted testers. So it's a friendly user test or something like that, and they will focus on autonomous driving, on replacing Uber. San Francisco, very interesting city because Uber is overwhelming over there. Okay, so but coming back to Elon Musk and his cars, he sent an email to all employees about the subject of communication in companies. And what he says was, well, imagine there is a problem in your department. So the let's say specialist is going to his or her manager and is asking, well, I have a problem with another area. And then the manager goes to the other manager and says, well, we have a problem with you. And the other manager from the other area goes back to his employees, to his colleagues, and says, well, there's a problem. So, and to this, Elon Musk wrote an email, and I give you a short glimpse on his idea. He said, this is incredibly stupid to go this way of communication. Everyone at Tesla can and should talk to others via email or conversation based on what they think is the quickest way to solve a problem for the benefit of the entire company. This isn't about random chit-chat. It is about making sure we execute ultra fast and well. So we obviously can't compete with the big automakers. That's interesting, isn't it? So we have to do this with intelligence and agility. So what does it mean? Coming from Taylor and his automation idea, which was good at this time, it was brilliant. But today it's not any longer relevant. Up to new work in the 1970s with Fridtjof Bergmann, up to Elon Musk and his networked companies. So the main idea is, and I'm starting with Elon Musk, is to have ultra-fast communication. He doesn't care about hierarchy. He doesn't care about, well, inform your manager first. He doesn't care about would you like to work what you really, really want, like Fridtjof Bergmann does. He is about ultra-fast and really well executed making autos. So he says there is a hierarchy. It's not a flat hierarchy wherever in the whole company and at any place. It's not Fridtjof Bergmann's flipped system from Taylor. It's more like take hierarchy where we need it. For example, to define mission or vision, to define the strategy, inform, align, but then give the power to the floor and let the teams make the work and let decide what they can decide. So Jan Berger, the CEO of Themis, phrased a sentence which was really nice to read. He said, well, this is not flat hierarchy, this is hierarchy on steroids. So imagine how many decisions more can be made on the floor, on the automotive, on the assembly line, if you don't give the information upwards and up and let someone else decide what you know better. So that's the main idea of working together in future times, to organize a networked company, to organize new work with low hierarchy, but also execute ultra fast and make decisions where you can make decisions really fast. So important for you as a leader is that you are willing to transfer power to other people. It's not any longer your job as a CEO or CMO or CIO or whatever to make decisions, or you're not the only one to make decisions. So to transfer executive powers to the lowest level of the company is maybe the answer in terms of new work and new ways of dealing with technology and a networked information age or a digitized information age. Last but not least, this is Jan. And as I said, he's the one who gave me his idea, who gave us the ideas from this article, from this lecture, from today. And he's happy to get in contact with you as well as I am. Maybe later or now. Thanks for that.